listening to?
I'm just listening to some tunes.
Music, yeah. I really liked what the humans did with music.
Yeah, it was one of the good things about humans. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not glad they're dead, but they had that music thing going for them.
And sometimes they put movies and music together and they work so well.
Yeah.
Did you see that movie, Baby Driver?
Baby Driver? I don't think so. Was it about a driver that was a baby?
He was a young kid, but they did some good things with music in that movie.
Oh, well, let's watch it.
People love great bank robbery stories, so let's give them something bold and brazen as to talk about over their lattes.
What's you listening to? Oh, let me check.
Tequila!
Cars, guns, crazies, and kickin' tunes. Baby Driver tells the story of a driver named Baby, who just may be in over his head. Caught between a web of criminals and the people he loves, Baby's got a long road ahead of him. Will he be able to make it out?
I'm sorry, ma'am. What the
So what did you think of Baby Driver?
I thought it was great. It had a lot of energy and a lot of ideas. It was exciting, it was fun, it was visually inventive, and really well acted.
Yeah, so I mentioned how music was a great part of this movie, but it was really billed as a driving movie. People driving cars real fast, and there's car stunt scenes, and those are really fun. But I really thought the heart of the movie came together with the music.
Yeah, one of the things I really liked about the heavy use of music, you could almost say this film was a borderline musical. But one of the things that I really liked about it is that in the beginning of the movie, you just think, okay, there's a lot of music on the soundtrack. They're cutting to the music. Music's building up a lot of energy. Okay, so this is just a movie that's going to use music stylistically. But then you quickly realize that there's a plot reason for the use of music. So the main character of Baby, he's constantly wearing headphones and listening to music. And you learn that the reason he does that is because he has a ringing in his ears that he's trying to drown out with the music. And that ties into his backstory and his emotional arc, but also gives a great reason for there to be this heavy stylistic use of music in the way the movie is shot and cut.
Even when there is no music, they use that to their advantage because it actually builds tension because they end up filling that space with sort of a droning sound, which is maybe reminiscent of his tinnitus that he's having, and it sets you on edge.
And along with that, they also have a subplot about him making his own music and recording it to tape and sampling things with his little portable tape recorder, things people say and other sounds, and making music with that. And the little song that you see him make is actually really cool.
One of the other things I really liked about this movie is how many little things they set up and then they paid off later. So there's a moment when it was one of the beginning heist jobs and someone says, "What are you listening to?" And so they both listen to the song together, and it's just a clip of the song, but then that song actually comes out much later in the movie during this climactic scene, and it just pulls all these elements that were happening in the earlier scene now into this later scene.
Edgar Wright, as a director, is one of the great users of the setup and the payoff. I mean, even from his first feature, Shaun of the Dead, that movie is all setup of little elements and then payoff later in the film. With this being mostly billed as a car movie, I would say that this movie is maybe actually more of a pulp crime story than a car movie, really. It's not like Vanishing Point or even Mad Max Fury Road, where it's just driving through the whole film. But there's some great vehicular action, chases, and stunt scenes that have a great job of having tension, of feeling very real.
One of the things that I really liked about the car action specifically is that in a lot of classic car films, it's about not only the stunt driving, but it's the look and feel of the car, and it's always like this big muscle car. Well, in this one, because it's a partial heist movie, they're stealing a lot of cars, and so they're doing a lot of these really interesting car tricks and car stunts with really very normal-looking cars. He also, every time he drives, because it's part of a heist film, the car is full of other people. And so you get to see their reactions, and you get to see if he takes a really sharp turn, how everyone in the back slides over. And so having the car full of people really gave you a lot more about the momentum of the car.
I would say both of those things are clever subversions of the standard car movie tropes. And there are a couple times in the film when he has muscle cars. What's interesting is both of the times he has muscle cars, they're both bright red. And that was another thing that I really noticed about this movie is the very strong use of color. One of the things that I noticed that was just a very subtle thing is there's a scene when he's in a laundromat. I believe he's talking to the girl he likes. I noticed that in the background, the clothes in each of the different washers is one of the 3 primary colors. And those were sort of very carefully used throughout the movie. The other thing about it being a car film is that while the climax of the film did involve cars, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't an epic car chase at the end.
Well, just as a quick point on that, though, I feel like the director really subverted your idea of what a exciting car scene is like, because the final climax takes place in a parking garage. And I don't want to give any more information than that, but there's a lot that happens in that parking garage that's very exciting and kept me on the edge of my seat. I loved it.
Also, this film was very much a pulp heist film, or at least it took a lot of those tropes. And so one of the things that really worked about that is just setting up all of these shady people who are on this team. We've got Kevin Spacey, who's sort of the brains of the operation. He puts the team together. There's more than one heist in the movie, and there are numerous people on the different teams.
All of the actors just had a lot of gravitas, and they played these characters so well. And I think they had a lot of fun with it. And one of the things I really liked is how they portrayed them as maybe a little bit on the bad side. They're all there because they love money, but you see that through Baby's eyes. You get to see how they have become jaded and are killing for no reason. And at the very end, you had a real reason to root for Baby, to have his final confrontation.
There's many strands in this film, and one of them is the love story of Baby meeting this girl and her becoming his lady and them getting in over their heads. And also one of the things that brings so much heart to the film is the character of Baby's foster father, who is an old wheelchair-bound deaf man that Baby's basically looking after and trying not to let down. And he, to some degree, was a show stealer. I mean, he was just great. And the relationship that they set up between him and Baby really worked.
He really provided that moral guidance for Baby that played out later in the movie.
If it hadn't had those two characters, his lady and his foster father, the film would have still been fun. It would have had a lot of great action, but it wouldn't have hit you in the heart at all. Well, at the end of the day, how do you rate Baby Driver?
I rate Baby Driver 5 burning humans. I had a great time watching it. I loved the entire movie. It was so fun. It was so uplifting. It was just a very simple story, executed so well, such a tight plot. I loved it. 5 burning humans.
I am going to rate Baby Driver an enthusiastic 4 burning humans. It's pushing the line of a 5. I hate to give them out like candy to babies, but it was super enjoyable, and Edgar Wright has never yet let me down.